The brain system I studied for my PhD thesis is called locus ceruleus. It's very small and it's on the brainstem, and one of the important things it does is it helps us to make the decision between exploration and exploitation. Very briefly, what that means is that if you go to your favorite restaurant and you look at the menu, there are two options you have. You can either take your favorite dish, which means you would be exploiting because you know it's going to be good and you choose to take no risks, or you can explore and you can say, well, I'm going to take another dish. It may not be as good as my favorite dish, but maybe it's even better. And then I've rewarded myself, as it were. So this applies to pens too. When there are pens, you can exploit and you can get models that you know that you like in different finishes or with different nibs, or you can get completely different pens. And in the pen I'm going to review here, I have actually mixed exploration and exploitation, I think. And that pen I'm going to be talking about today is a Visconti Opera Master. Now, a while ago I reviewed this pen, Visconti Opera Master Demonstrator, limited edition in the Opera Master series, and I very much enjoyed that pen. Power filler system, double broad nib, demonstrator model, very heavy, very nice. But it has some downsides. For example, the fact that it's heavy. When it's completely inked up, it weighs 62 grams, which is very heavy for a pen. Also, the power filler system, it's great that it holds so much ink, but that also means that you're stuck with that ink for a long time before you run out. And I was in Akkerman in The Hague and I saw another Opera Master, which is a non-limited edition with a different filling system and a different type of nib. I used it and I fell in love with it. So it is basically a model that I've reviewed before, that I've used before and that I love, but there are some minor differences, and that's what we're going to check out today. Okay, it came in the biggest Visconti box I've ever seen. This is pretty much a shoebox sized outer box. And in there is one of these nice, big, and very heavy, nice lacquered, what's it called again, burl wood, in any case, a wooden box. And when you pop it open, the reason I'm very careful about that is that there is something in there that I have, there we go. It comes with this inkwell. And I saw this inkwell alone advertised as having a value of 385 euros. It is crystal, Visconti inkwell, and I think it's very cool. And I inked it up, that's why I was a little careful there. You pop it open like that, it has the Visconti V on the inside. It's a fancy accessory. And I think it's actually quite nice. One thing that I really like, which you can see if you look through this side as opposed to through the ribbed side, is that it actually is shaped with a little pit in the center, which means you can put your nib in a bit more easily and ink up your pen. Okay, furthermore in the box is the Ackerman guarantee slip, and art for art's sake, this nice little all-color booklet on Visconti, all kinds of pens, and filling instructions, etc. So, nice booklet, and pretty thick too. And of course there is the pen, and that's what you came here for. I'm just putting away the box, there we go. This is the pen. It's, I would say on the outside it is a much simpler model than my previous Master Demonstrator. This is the Master Demonstrator. There is ink in there, but you can see it has that nice pattern on the barrel and the cap. And the new one is all black. It's very simple, all black, and with some nice chrome-colored highlights. Okay, I'm going to cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Top of the pen, this finial, it's a bit of amber. I put that on. You can take a magnet, pull that off. It's called Visconti's My Pen system. You can put on any kind of, all kinds of stuff, zodiac signs, gemstones, your initials, etc. It was told to me that the amber would match the black well. I have very little insight in these things, so I'm always happy to have people with me who do know that. You have the cap and barrel. You see it's a fairly uniform thing. This is that squaring the circle concept that Visconti has, so you have a square shaped pen but with the corners cut off, making it more rounded. Think of Leonardo da Vinci with the, just hit my elbow, with the Homo Universale drawing he did. Ponte Vecchio clip, I think it's very nice. Enamel on there, it is spring-loaded. I've never had issues with these clips. What you may not be able to see so well is that there are very fine lines on the cap, and then these corners are smooth. Then you have the center band. It says Opera. I find it a pity it doesn't say Opera Master. There is space for it, and I think that's a missed opportunity because there is also an Opera model. Okay, then you have that. You have the barrel that tapers down slightly. I think I've always considered that a very attractive design. Then you have this end cap. Now with my demonstrator, that end cap is twisted open and it pulls out the piston to fill this pen with the power filler system that Visconti does. On this pen it does not. I'll come back to that in a second. The cap unscrews and then you have a large section, and this is the best section I've ever used. For my hands this is a perfect size. I love it. It's rounded, it's smooth. To me it does not get slippery. You have these threads, they are not sharp, they're very pleasant to use. And then you have a nib. On my other master, the nib is 23 karat palladium and this is 14 karat gold. It says Visconti 14K585 for the gold content and medium, and it has some pretty nice scroll work on it. There you have it. It's a little hard facing a window to get this to not reflect, but hopefully you get a bit of an idea. Okay, so this pen is a lot lighter than the other one is. What makes the difference? The difference is made up by the filling system. Strictly speaking, this pen is still advertised as a power filler, except it doesn't have the double-walled power filler system that the Opera Master demonstrator does. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the power filler, it's very simple. You unscrew this bit, you pull it out, plunger pulls back, put in a bottle of ink, push that back in, it creates a vacuum, and as the barrel gets wider, at some point the vacuum pops and ink is sucked up into the pen. There is a secondary reservoir here. The main reservoir is the barrel, secondary reservoir there, and the fun bit is, for example, when you go flying, you can unscrew this and the ink is drained back into the barrel. Now this is empty, and that will also empty out when you write. So once in a while you have to open that thing up again, get some more ink in, and you can screw it, close, shut the valve, and you're set. And if there are air pressure differences in the cabin as you fly, the ink will not be squirted out. Now, how does this pen work? Well, this has something that looks a bit like a built-in converter, except it's not a regular converter. In fact, you can't take it out, and furthermore, it looks a bit different with that little knob. And in fact, this is a power filler too that works in a very similar way. I have ink in here, so I don't want to operate it, but what you do is you pull out this bit. I can show you that for a little bit. You can see that it pulls out all the way, you put it in a bottle of ink, you push it down, and again, you create a vacuum and draw up ink. It even has, I'm going to very carefully push that back in place, yeah, no ink squirted out. This is an ink window, and currently there's a black ink in there, and I've just filled it, so you can't really see this, but you will see the ink level drop here at some point, and then you know you need to refill it. Okay, what do I like about this pen and what do I not like about this pen? Well, for me this is a perfect size. A nice oversized pen, great grip section, very comfortable to use, a very pleasant nib, both on the Opera Master demonstrator and on this pen. I found the nibs to be pleasant. For me, a perfect model. So that's what I like about it. I find the looks of this pen a bit less spectacular than the Opera Master demonstrator models, but even so, I still think it's a nice model. I like those little lines here that gives just a little bit of texture to it as you use it. I think it's very nice. What I also like is, although I like a heavier pen for longer writing sessions, this pen, because it's lighter, is definitely very pleasant to use. What do I not like about it? Well, these pens come at a price. Even the non-limited edition pens, because this is not a limited edition as I understand it. The Opera Master series is a little bit confusing, but it's not numbered, hence I'm assuming not limited, is definitely expensive. As I said, I've seen this advertised, just the inkwell, for 385 euros, so you can imagine that the pen itself is not cheap either. I do think it's a nice touch that they supply the inkwell with it, because this is a less expensive, less elaborate filling system than on the limited edition pens. It is nice that they compensate that by giving you an extra. So the price definitely high, and that could definitely be an issue. And you can ask yourself, is it really worth it for what is a converter type pen? I would say yes, because it is not really a converter. It is a power filler. It is something that draws a vacuum. But of course, if you really want that, you can also buy a TWSBI VAC 700 for way less than you buy this pen. You won't get a gold nib, you won't get such a big pen, etc. I'm not going to defend myself there, but price. Okay, anything else I don't like about it? To be honest, not really. As I said, I really like this model, so it is exploitation to the extent that I know the model and I knew I would like it. It is exploration to the extent that it has gold nib as opposed to palladium. It has a different filling system and therefore it's lighter. Okay, let's take a couple of measurements before I indulge in the writing sample. These are, as I said, larger pens. It won't even fit into my calipers, which means that it is a little over 6.07 inches capped, and that is 154.3 millimeters. It is uncapped, 143.4 millimeters or 5.64 inches. Section diameter is serious at 11.0 or 0.43 of an inch, all the way up to 12.6 or 0.49 of an inch. I'm going to measure the flat side of the barrel. At the widest point they are 14.6 or 0.57 of an inch, and at the narrowest point they are 12.4 or 0.48 of an inch. Okay, weight wise, just inked up, this pen clocks in at 50 grams, and as a comparison, Opera Master Demonstrator, which is currently a little under half full of ink, chimes in at 60 grams. So you can imagine, completely full of ink, it's about 62 grams, I think, and you see the difference in weight. Okay, let's do a writing sample. I hope this was useful so far, and I'm glad to see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the Visconti Opera Master in black. The nib is a 14 karat medium and the ink is Kaweco black. It just fits. Let's do a bit of writing. Writing is very pleasant. I find it on the fine side, especially for a medium nib, but it's a very smooth experience, not scratchy, no real feedback, I would say. But fast writing, no skipping there, really nice. Okay, as to wetness, I would not call this the wettest pen I have ever used, but it is not dry, so it is a well-tuned nib, it is not a gusher. Line variation, that is as far as I'm willing to go pushing it. The first time I pushed it, I lifted up the nib a little bit from the feed and I had to do some resetting work, so I'm not going to push it too far. It is a 14K nib, and as you can see, if you're a little careful, you can definitely get some line variation out of it. For those of you who enjoy reverse writing and take this already quite fine nib to an even finer level, that is possible by reversing it, but it will become more scratchy. Okay, that's all there's to it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.